Okay, welcome to our lecture online, and now we're going to show you how to graph the product of trigonometric functions, or in this case, the product of a trigonometric function and a normal function. So here what we're doing is we're multiplying y equals x and y equals sine of x. So there's the function y equals x, which is simply a straight line at a 45-degree angle, and here's the function y equals the sine of x. What happens when you multiply them together? Again, you can set up a table of values, or you can do this graphically. And graphically is pretty straightforward. So what happens is that one of the functions, especially in this case, the non-trigonometric function y equals x, forms the boundary for the trigonometric function. Notice that in this case, 0 times anything gives you 0, so that's 0. But here we have the trigonometric function valued at -1, and of course at that point the other function will be at probably, let's see here, it's -1 will be somewhere between 4 and 5. So that means that the y equals x function will be about 4 or 5. So we have -1 times 4, between 4 and 5, let's say 4.5, or just make it easy. See, 3 pi, 5 pi, so somewhere around there. Notice we multiply -1, that's something that's almost positive 5, which gives us a -5. That means the one function, the y equals x function, becomes the boundary of the trigonometric function. So what we need to do is we also need to find the negative value of this function, y equals -x, which we're going to graph like this. So this is equal to y equals -x, because when the trigonometric function is negative, the negative function will bound the product. And when the trigonometric function is positive, the positive function will bound the trigonometric functions. Okay, so what we need to do now is realize that this will be the bounds of the trigonometric function. So we'll come up like this. Will be bounded, and then it'll go back to 0 eventually. So we'll multiply something like that to 0. Now the function will go and find its lower bound, which is right over here, and then come back up to 0, and then find its upper bound, which by now will be way up here. And so you can see that the function, the trigonometric function, will be bounded by the y equals x. And on the other side, it's exactly the same. Here it's negative, so it'll be bounded like this. And then, as this function grows, it'll go back to 0. And then over here, the function will then increase and be bounded by this portion right here as the trigonometric function goes positive, like that. So that means that the trigonometric function is simply bounded by the y equals x and the y equals -x function, and it looks something like that. The details here are a little bit fuzzy because you would have to need a calculator to figure out what the exact values are, but that's pretty well what it would look like.